Hello guys, thanks for joining me. We are going to talk about the Hope After program. I'm recording this at home, so if you happen to hear a couple dogs barking, I apologize and I will try to stop the recording if they start to chime in to join me for this conversation. So, Hope After is a program within Life Crisis Services that is managed by Stephanie Lesmeyer and Shelby Zurich, two of our master's level staff persons, and we're going to talk about it, and then you can think about whether or not it's a program you'd like to be involved in if you are a master's level student in a mental health field or already have a master's degree. So here's the general overview of Hope After. It's a safety net program for people who have had thoughts of suicide. The purpose of it is to prevent our very at-risk callers from making any sort of future attempts by giving them short 1 to 3 month case management that in which a case manager calls them and talks for about 15 to 20 minutes discussing goals and mental health supports and skills that they can use to help themselves stay safe. The calls are generally about 15 to 20 minutes long. And like I said, once a week, and the timing depends upon what works best for both the client and the case manager. So Hope After is funded by a SAMHSA grant. We received a 3-year grant, let's see here, about in 2013, and then this past July 2016, our grant was granted again. So now it's going to run for another 3 years. There's the one full-time director. There are 2 part-time case managers. Practicum graduate students provide the case management. Additionally, there is Shelby is a part-time director as well for the program. The clients are receiving warm transfer, so when we speak to them, particularly in the crisis room, we tell them about the Hope After program, ask if they'd be interested, and then pass the information on to the Hope After case managers, who will then contact them, explain the program a little more in depth, and ask whether or not they're still interested in the program. This is a free telephone case management program. We offer this program during the last follow-up within 7 to 10 days that a suicidal caller has called the hotline. When we are doing the follow-up with the caller and we reach them, we'll explain to them what Hope After is and see if they're interested. If they are not interested, then we document that they're not interested, and we will close the follow-up after you have contacted pager. If they are interested, they must be an adult, 18 older, Missouri residents. You must gather this information. It's extremely important to get all of this information. Otherwise, Hope After cannot properly contact and notify the callers that Hope After is trying to get a hold of them due to our confidentiality clauses for both the hotline and Hope After. So if somebody is interested in Hope After, you must get their first and last name. Usually we only have a first name. We need to get an address, and you can explain to them you're gathering their address because we're going to be sending them some information about the Hope After program in the mail. Confirm what number they would like for the Hope After case managers to call them back on, and specifically ask if we can leave a message from Hope After. Even though they may have said we can leave a message in the crisis room, we specifically need to make sure that we get permission for Hope After to leave a message. You'll then contact pager and tell them that the person was interested in Hope After, and you will close it to the crisis room, writing in the subject line, Hope After interested, case manager only. You may see this again. I'm fairly certain this is on a quiz or a test somewhere. Also, let the caller know that the case manager will call them back sometime within the next 48 hours to try to get them involved in the program, talk with them about days and times that are available and such. So what else you need to know? When a call comes into the hotline, frequently they will mention if they already have a case manager in Hope After, or they'll bring up Hope After. This happens, be sure to find out if they have a Hope After case manager. Ask specifically what goals they're working on with their case manager and maybe what their safety plan is. The 6-step safety plan they should have already gotten in the mail and have a hard copy in front of them. Those are the steps when somebody is having thoughts of suicide that they need to follow in order to try to keep themselves safe. If they need to talk to the case manager, tell them they need to call the Hope After message line. The Hope After line is never ever answered by a person. It is always a voicemail. They must leave a voicemail and then somebody will call them back. Do not say that you will pass on the message. Additionally, we do have the ability to transfer them to the message line. So if you have a caller on the phone, all you have to do is press the transfer button while you're on the line with them, and then press the 2882, which is those last 4 digits of the phone number, and then hang up the phone, and they will be directly put into the voicemail box for Hope After. If somebody has been enrolled in Hope After, they do not need to be referred again when you are closing it. If they've been involved in Hope After, they'd like to be involved again, you can refer them to the Hope After message line. You don't need to open one all over again as if it's a new client. Just tell them to call the message line and leave a message that they were a Hope After client and they would like to restart the program. They don't often get re-entered. What they will get are a few weeks of what we call booster sessions. So anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks of weekly calls to check in and adjust their safety plan if we need to, and work on goals again for a little while. So Hope After is for callers who have had said yes to thoughts of suicide. As you know, yes to us is anything except no. The information for offering Hope After is on the flip chart page. Particularly, there are some bullets that you can literally read straight through when offering Hope After, so you don't need to worry about trying to memorize anything. If they're not interested or they have to leave a message with you leave the message with the Hope After information, please make sure you leave that Hope After message line phone number. We don't send them a welcome pack immediately, so you're getting the address, but we're not sending that out immediately. Do not schedule a specific time for the case manager to call callers, because Hope After calls are done when case managers are in the office, and that varies. So you literally will tell them, okay, somebody will call you within the next 48 hours, and you will schedule them for the follow-up for 24 hours. We do this because there is not necessarily a case manager in the office every day of the week, so we offer 48 hours just in case there's no one in the office the next day, although there most likely is, and then we just reschedule it for 24. So tell them someone will call them within 2 days, schedule it for 1 day later. During that initial call from Hope After, the clients will have Hope After explain to them again, be asked about their interest. They'll schedule an intake appointment. It takes about 3 appointments for them to complete an intake. They'd be assessed for suicide, and they would discuss the informed consent. With the Hope After program, we are also partnered with Columbia University, as they're doing a study on whether after-care programs are helpful. So as part of this, Columbia does call some of our Hope After clients and ask about their experiences. If the client is suicidal, Columbia will contact Life Crisis Services to get them on our hotline. So if Columbia is checking with somebody and the person said yes to thoughts of suicide, Columbia is going to see if they can't transfer them to our hotline. So if a Columbia staff person believes that a client is a higher risk, they'll attempt to do the warm transfer. That means they'll conference call with the client to us, or they'll call LCS with the client's information and ask them to call them back. A low-risk transfer, if Columbia doesn't believe that the client is at higher risk and the client prefers to speak with LCS at another time, then Columbia will just call LCS with the client's name and phone number. In this case, you'll document the call and then schedule a follow-up for the requested time. We'll attempt to follow up for 48 hours before we close out. So we'll try to get a hold of the person that they checked in with for a while. Frequently, we can't get a hold of them, and we'll close out follow-ups in 2 days if we haven't been able to get a hold of them. So if Columbia happens to call in on the hotline, which honestly I don't think has ever happened, if Columbia University does call and says that they have to pass on information, like any other third-party call that we get, you would get the name and phone number of the person that's at risk, before they transfer the person, just in case the call gets disconnected. Frequently, with our phone systems, when we put somebody on hold or go to do a conference call, we accidentally hang up on the person. So anytime before you're going to take any of those sorts of steps on our phone lines, it's always a good idea to confirm name and phone number so we can always call people back if something happens. So what case managers do, what you can do. You would work with adults with suicidal ideations. The goal is to increase positive resilience and decrease their suicidal ideation. Get them set up with long-term services. You can even collaborate with therapists and psychiatrists to make sure that we are all working within the same sort of treatment plan. Complete assessments, both official and unofficial. Work on mental health related goals. Crisis counseling is needed, but generally refer out to counseling. Be sure if you are offering Hope After to a caller, we always explain to them this is not counseling. You need to get somebody who can more in-depth help you for therapy and counseling services. Hope After case managers just check in. So a Hope After case manager would work separate shifts from Hope After, but you have to have at least one shift in the crisis room. So you can do both. You can't do Hope After without doing the hotline. Most case managers have 3 to 5 clients for a 3-hour shift. Their shifts are exactly the same as our shifts, the same times. And the best shifts to be working for Hope After are the evenings and weekends. That's when a lot of the clients are home. Although daytime hours are available too, because a lot of the clients in Hope After have severe mental disorders in which they are on disability and do not work. So what the calls look like, there's an intake process with consent forms. We gather demographic information, biography, do assessments for suicidality. We also do assessments for depression and anxiety. We work on a safety plan, so putting together those 6 steps that somebody, when those thoughts of suicide come up for them, they can pull out their safety plan and start to work through the steps to try to help themselves stay safe. We also create goals, such as introduce myself to 2 people. Some of the clients struggle with interpersonal relations and talking with other people. So somebody who's looking to make friends, we may make a goal for the week, introduce themselves to 2 people. That's something that is under their control, because we can't say let's make 2 friends this week, because you can't control what the other person's response is going to be to our clients. So we work with goals that the clients really have control over. Again, after the assessment is complete, the intake process, each call is the 15 to 20 minutes. Every week they do assessments, every week they do goals, every week they talk about referrals, whether they're working or they need more. Again, crisis counseling and safety planning is needed. If you're speaking to a Hope After client as a case manager and one of your clients says that they are suicidal and you assess them to be at high risk or immediate high, you will transfer them to the crisis room. That is because you have a very limited shift for your Hope After shift, and you most likely have other clients that you do need to work with, whereas the crisis room should be more available. So if a client of yours is high risk, you will transfer them back to the crisis room. So in addition, Hope After is looking to add a couple more people to case management, which is Shelby. The services are going to be more intensive than the current telephone case management, and we are hoping to eventually move to a fee-for-service program. So what sort of experience will you gain? So if you're a student, you will get some clinical case management skills, managing clients with a whole bunch of different challenges, severe mental disorders, program management and development. You'll work with the director and case managers to kind of help build the program and keep it, alter it as needed. You'll also do some advocacy. You'll work with the client and their other mental health providers to help them get their needs met. If you are interested in becoming a Hope After case manager, you must send a resume and a cover letter to Stephanie Lesmeyer. Not by Monday, by Friday, the 28th, if not then sometime over the weekend. If you have any specific questions, you can email Stephanie or stop by her office, which is number 10 in the lower office.